Did you know that a desert in Arizona holds a buried treasure of fighter jets? Or that two tiny islands 2.4 miles apart separate America from Russia? What if we told you the tallest mountain in the world is not Mount Everest, but Mount Denali in Alaska? Well, buckle up, folks. We're about to explain this all to you as we embark on a wild ride across the wondrous and jaw-dropping landscapes of the United States. Prepare yourself for 50 almost impossible to believe U.S. topography facts you almost definitely didn't know. Starting with fact number 50. A desert in Arizona holds a buried treasure of fighter jets. Deep in the scorching sands of Arizona's Sonoran Desert lies Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, home to the Boneyard, a sprawling graveyard of over 4,000 retired military aircraft. It's hard to believe that fighter jets, bombers, and helicopters, some worth millions, are just chilling underground or out in the open like a scene from a post-apocalyptic movie. The dry climate preserves them perfectly, preventing rust, making it a treasure trove for spare parts. Now, why don't we hop across state lines to Nevada? Fact number 49. Hoover Dam's concrete could pave a 16-foot wide highway across the country. It seems likely that the total concrete used to build the Hoover Dam, which is 4.36 million cubic yards, could build an 8 inches thick highway for about 2,090 miles. That is pretty much the distance from San Francisco to New York City. The dam weighs over 6.6 million tons and remains an engineering marvel, being the first man-made structure to exceed the Great Pyramid of Giza's masonry mass. It also contains over 582 miles of cooling pipes to manage heat during curing, with concrete still curing after nearly 90 years, estimated to take 125 years total. Fact number 48. Oregon's Crater Lake is the deepest lake in the U.S. Crater Lake, a sapphire gem in Oregon, plunges 1,943 feet, the deepest in the nation. Now compare that to the Statue of Liberty, which is 305 feet tall. It can fit, wait for it, 6.37 Statue of Liberties inside it. Born 7,700 years ago when Mount Mazama erupted and collapsed, the Crater Lake is fed only by rain and snow. What's hard to fathom is it being formed in a volcanic caldera with no rivers flowing in or out. Yet it's crystal clear and never dries up. It's a pristine natural lab with scientists studying its purity. Imagine a volcano's punch bowl filled with the bluest water you've ever seen. Now let's soar to Hawaii for a mountain that dwarfs Everest. Fact number 47. Hawaii's Mauna Kea, when measured from its base on the ocean floor, is taller than Mount Everest. Mount Everest gets all the glory at 29,032 feet, but Mauna Kea, from its underwater base to its snowy peak, stretches 33,500 feet. One World Trade Center in New York City, the tallest building in the U.S., is 1,776 feet, including its antenna. You'd need to stack about 19 One World Trade Centers to get close to 33,500 feet. What's unbelievable is that most of it hides underwater, so you'd never guess it's the true king of height. It redefines how we measure mountains. Above sea level isn't the whole story. Its gentle slope means you can drive almost to the top, where astronomers perch telescopes under starry skies. Everest might scoff, but Mauna Kea's got the real bragging rights. Fact number 46. Left-side driving is only done in this U.S. territory in the Caribbean. The U.S. Virgin Islands is the only jurisdiction in the USA where vehicles drive on the left side. Most cars in the U.S. Virgin Islands are imported from the mainland U.S. and still have the steering wheel on the left side of the car. The United States purchased the Virgin Islands from Denmark in 1917. At the time, traffic in Denmark drove on the left. To keep the island's residents happy and prevent animosity towards the U.S., the federal government kept traffic in the Virgin Islands on the left side of the road. While Denmark switched to driving on the right in 1967, along with much of the rest of Europe, the Virgin Islands never did. To this day, the U.S. Virgin Islands continues to drive on the left. Let's take a trip to Nevada across the Gulf of Mexico. Fact number 45. Nevada's Great Basin's disappearing rivers. Nevada's Great Basin is a desert where rivers like the Humboldt flow inward and vanish into sinks, never reaching the ocean. It's a 200,000 square mile unique hydrological feature where rivers do not flow to the ocean but instead terminate within the region. This phenomenon is due to the basin's endorheic nature, meaning water is trapped in internal drainage systems. Some of the rivers exemplify direct disappearance into sinks or aquifers. Time to start second-guessing which rivers we jump into. Nobody wants to disappear down into a sink. Let's hop to New York City for a linguistic surprise. Fact number 44. New York City has more languages than anywhere else on Earth. NYC isn't just skyscrapers and pizza. It's a babble of over 800 languages. From Albanian to Zulu, it's the planet's most linguistically diverse spot. Hard to believe? Walk a block in Queens and hear 5 tongues before breakfast. It reflects America's melting pot in hyperdrive. Immigrants keep the city buzzing. You might order coffee in English, Spanish, or even Wolof. Fact number 43. Lake Superior contains 10% of the world's freshwater. Lake Superior, the biggest Great Lake, holds 3 quadrillion gallons, or 10% of Earth's surface freshwater. That's enough to drown both North and South America under a foot of H2O. It's a puddle so vast it could hydrate the planet's 8.2 billion people with fresh drinking water. For argument's sake, let's say each person drinks 2 liters per day. It would last us 1,893 years of fresh drinking water. That would take us to the year 3913. So we do still have time on our hands to resolve the water crisis. Fact number 42. Yellowstone supervolcano's magma chamber is larger than some small countries. Yellowstone's supervolcano hides a magma chamber so vast it could fill the Grand Canyon 11 times over. That's 2,500 cubic miles of molten mayhem. To provide more context, the Grand Canyon is approximately 7,350 times larger than Vatican City in Italy. It's difficult to believe that this sleepy park could unleash a Texas-sized ash cloud. It's one of Earth's ticking time bombs, although don't cancel your camping trip. It's quiet for now, as it's been 640,000 years since the last eruption. We've got a little trek east to Arizona next. Fact number 41. A 1924 flood in Arizona created a crazy law about donkey baths. Floods normally create canyons, new river formations, or completely wipe out whole towns. However, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. And in Arizona, donkeys can't sleep in bathtubs. This Arizona law banning donkeys from sleeping in bathtubs has a peculiar origin. After a 1924 flood, a donkey named Donkey Dan got stuck in a bathtub swept into a gulch, requiring a costly rescue. To prevent similar chaos, locals reportedly banned keeping donkeys in tubs overnight. While enforcement is unheard of today, it's a relic of Arizona's rural past when livestock and unpredictable weather posed unique challenges. Fact number 40. New Hampshire has recorded the fastest wind gust ever on Earth. Mount Washington, a rugged peak in New Hampshire, clocked a wind gust of 231 miles per hour on April 12, 1934. It was the fastest ever recorded on Earth until a typhoon stole the crown decades later. That's the same as the top speed of the fastest Formula One cars. What's hard to believe is that it's strong enough to fling a car like it's a light frisbee. Next, we stretch out to Alaska's endless shores. Fact number 39. Alaska's coastline is longer than the rest of the U.S. combined. Alaska's coastline sprawls over 6,600 miles, more than all other 49 states put together. Add its islands and it jumps to 33,000 miles. What's unbelievable is it's a jagged maze of fjords, bays, and cliffs that could wrap around Earth's equator. It's such an important part of the U.S. because it's a lifeline for fishing, wildlife, and jaw-dropping views. Fact number 38. The U.S. has 13 time zones. You think the U.S. has just 4 time zones? Nope. Counting territories like Guam, American Samoa, and even tiny uninhabited islands, we're rocking 13. Most folks can barely handle Eastern to Pacific jet lag, let alone wrap their heads around places like Guam, which is 15 hours ahead of New York and where it's tomorrow already. Fact number 37. The U.S. once bought Alaska for pennies. In 1867, the U.S. snagged Alaska from Russia for $7.2 million, about 2 cents per acre. At the time, critics called it Seward's folly, thinking it was a frozen wasteland. Boy, were they wrong. It's packed with oil, gold, and scenery worth trillions of dollars. It's so huge that it doubled America's size. Russia must be kicking itself while Alaska pumps out continuous wealth. Talk about an absolute steal. Let's head over to California's salty seas. Fact number 36. The Salton Sea in California was accidentally created by irrigation gone wrong. The Salton Sea, a briny puddle in California's desert, wasn't always there. In 1905, engineers botched an irrigation project, flooding a dry basin with Colorado River water for 2 years. It's hard to believe that a man-made oops became a lake. Once a resort hotspot, it's now a shrinking salty lake, stinking of dead fish, and saltier than a sailor's vocabulary. Now let's blast off to Arizona. Fact number 35. Arizona's Meteor Crater is so perfectly preserved that astronauts trained there for the moon landings. About 50,000 years ago, a 150-foot meteor slammed into Arizona, carving a mile-wide, 550-foot deep bowl. It's so pristine that Apollo astronauts practiced there, prepping for lunar strolls, and if you stand on the rim, you actually feel like you're on the moon. This is a rare peek into Earth's violent past, as most craters generally erode away. Fact number 34. Lake Tahoe is so clear you can see 70 feet down. Lake Tahoe's water is so clear you can spot a dime 70 feet below, yet at 6,225 feet up, it never freezes over. High-altitude lakes usually freeze solid, but Tahoe's depth of 1,645 feet and constant motion say, no thanks, to ice rinks. It's a gem because that clarity comes from pure snowmelt, making it a natural wonder. Fact number 33. Death Valley once had the hottest temperature ever recorded in the U.S. Death Valley, California, sizzled at 134 degrees Fahrenheit in 1913, hot enough to fry an egg on the sand. But snow? Yep, it's dusted those same dunes. It's hard to wrap your head around it being Earth's ultimate hot and cold combo, thanks to its below sea level basin and nearby peaks. It also holds the lowest point in North America at Badwater Basin, sitting 282 feet below sea level. It's so low you're practically in the Earth's basement. Fact number 32. Utah's Bonneville Salt Flats are so flat and vast that something special occurs on clear days. The Bonneville Salt Flats stretch 30,000 acres of blinding white salt in Utah. It's so flat and vast that you can see Earth's curvature on the horizon. It's such an unbelievable experience that it feels like standing on a giant mirror where land meets sky in a cosmic hug. It's also famous for speed records. Cars hit 600 miles per hour here, and geologically it's a dried-up prehistoric lake. Next, for some ancient knowledge as we head over to New York State. Fact number 31. Grenville Mountains eroded over 600 million years. Research suggests that the Grenville orogeny, occurring over 1 billion years ago during the Precambrian era, formed mountains comparable in size to the Himalayas. These Grenville Mountains were part of a massive mountain-building event along the eastern Laurentian margin, involving the collision of continental segments. Over 600 million years, erosion wore these mountains down, leaving only their ancient cores exposed in regions like the Adirondack Mountains in northern New York. We're almost halfway through our epic trek across America's wildest geographic wonders, and the surprises keep coming. Fact number 30. The tallest sand dunes in North America are found in Colorado. The Great Sand Dunes National Park in Colorado is a geological marvel where the tallest sand dunes in North America, reaching heights of up to 750 feet, sit in dramatic contrast to the rugged snow-capped Sangre de Cristo Mountains, some of which soar beyond 14,000 feet. This surreal landscape, often described as looking like a natural Photoshop, is the result of unique environmental processes in the San Luis Valley. Fact number 29. The Badlands of South Dakota erode so fast that fossils emerge. Almost daily, South Dakota's Badlands look like a moonscape, and they're crumbling fast, losing an inch yearly to wind and rain. Fossils of saber-toothed cats and ancient rhinos pop up like buried treasure. Most places hide their past, but here, it's a daily reveal party. It's huge for paleontologists. New discoveries rewrite history constantly. Fact number 28. Oklahoma is Earth's tornado central. Oklahoma's a tornado magnet, spinning up more twisters per square mile than anywhere else on Earth. Oklahoma averages about 60 to 70 tornadoes annually, but some years see over 100. Warm Gulf air slams into cold fronts from the Rockies and northern plains. This clash creates unstable atmospheric conditions ideal for supercell thunderstorms. Now we fly our way over to Florida. Fact number 27. Florida is flatter than a pancake. Florida's highest peak, Britton Hill, is a measly 345 feet, lower than some skyscrapers, and also the lowest high point of any state. Scientists proved it's flatter than a pancake. Yes, they measured pancakes, with barely a ripple across its peninsula. Maybe that's why it's the state of roller coasters, as they are the only good lookout points. Florida's tallest building, the Fontainebleau Miami Beach, is around 560 feet, making it about 1.6 times taller than Britton Hill. Florida's flatness is significant because it shapes Florida's ecosystem of swamps, floods, and alligators. Fact number 26. Lake Pontchartrain Causeway in Louisiana is the longest bridge over water in the world. This 24-mile bridge stretching over Lake Pontchartrain is so long that land vanishes halfway across, leaving you floating in a watery void. It's a marvel because it links New Orleans to the north, cutting travel time. Built on pilings in the 1950s, it's an engineering flex, though mid-trip, you might wonder if you're lost at sea. Fact number 25. The Ozark Plateau in Missouri and Arkansas have caves so deep they've never been fully explored. The Ozarks caves are so vast and twisty that they offer hundreds of miles of mystery. Blanchard Springs Caverns, one of the most famous, is a multi-level system with about 3 miles of accessible passages, including the main chamber called the Cathedral Room that's 204 feet high, 225 feet wide, and 411 feet long, big enough to fit a hot air balloon. Most of these 10,000 caves aren't just bat hangouts, they're uncharted worlds beneath our feet. Formed by water-carving limestone, they're nature's secret basements. Grab a headlamp, but don't expect a guided tour to the bottom. Adventurers are still guessing their way around. Fact number 24. A river caught fire multiple times in Cleveland. The Cuyahoga River in Cleveland blazed up at least 13 times, most famously in 1969, thanks to oil and industrial gunk. A river on fire sounds impossible, right? Once a sewer for factories. It's cleaner now, but back then, flames danced 5 stories high. It's iconic because it sparked the environmental movement. Shall we venture across to the international date line? Fact number 23. 2 tiny Diomede Islands where 2.4 miles separates mainland America from mainland Russia. 2 tiny islands, Big Diomede in Russia and Little Diomede in the US, sit just 2.4 miles apart in the Bering Strait, separating mainland America and Russia. This narrow gap, known as the international date line, means that despite their proximity, the islands are in different countries and time zones, 24 hours apart. The Bering Strait's harsh freezing temperatures and shifting sea ice make this closeness even more surreal when in winter an ice bridge is formed, making it possible to cross the border by land. Little Diomede is home to one of the most isolated towns in the USA, called Diomede, home to only 82 people, peering across to an uninhabited Big Diomede, although it is a Russian military outpost. During the Cold War, this gap symbolized a point of major tension. Fact number 22. Alaska is the easternmost, westernmost, and northernmost U.S. state. Alaska boasts a geographic extreme triple threat. Its easternmost point is at Semisopochnoi Island and dips past the 180th meridian. Stretch west of Hawaii at Attu Island, the westernmost part, and nudge the Arctic at its northernmost town, Utqiagvik. One state claims all the edges, which is pretty unbelievable. It also spans 2 hemispheres. Stand on Attu Island, and you're technically east of Japan. Next, we crawl into Kentucky's underworld. Fact number 21. Kentucky has the longest cave system on Earth. Mammoth Cave stretches over 400 miles, and that's just what we've mapped. It's a subterranean labyrinth of tunnels, rivers, and chambers. What's hard to grasp is that it's like an underground interstate, dwarfing all other caves. Carved by water over millions of years, it's a treasure for explorers and scientists, with bats, blind critters, and history abound. Fact number 20. The Everglades is a 60-mile wide, slow-moving river. Forget the swamp stereotype. The Everglades is a 60-mile wide river, oozing along at a snail's pace of 0.25 miles per hour. It's more a lazy stream than a murky bog, stretching from Lake Okeechobee to Florida Bay. This river of grass sustains a unique ecosystem. Gators, manatees, and rare birds thrive here. Fact number 19. Four Corners Monument is the only spot in the U.S. where 4 states meet. At Four Corners, you can stand in Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico all at once. It's the only spot in the U.S. where 4 states kiss. Most borders are boring lines, not a cosmic X marks the spot. It's a quirky draw for tourists. Snap a pic with a limb in each state. Surveyors nailed it in 1868, and now it's a geographic hotspot. Fact number 18. Point Roberts, Washington is reachable only through Canada. Point Roberts is a 5-square-mile U.S. enclave dangling off Washington. Cut off by the 49th parallel, you must drive through Canada to get there by road. It's like America forgot a puzzle piece north of the border. It's a relic of the 1846 Oregon Treaty, geography's oops moment. With 1,300 residents, it's a quiet quirk. Cross into British Columbia, then back to the U.S., all for groceries. Passports are required for this American cul-de-sac. Fact number 17. Texas has its own power grid to avoid federal regulation, a quirk of its vast size and history. Texas runs its own electric grid, ERCOT, covering 90% of the state, independent from the feds. While the U.S. splits into eastern and western grids, Texas says, "Nah, we're good." It reflects Texas's Lone Star swagger, big enough, covering 268,596 square miles, to flex its own system. Fact number 16. The Great Salt Lake in Utah is saltier than the ocean and home to a desert within a lake. The Great Salt Lake is a salty soup, up to 27% salinity, way brinier than the ocean's 3.5%. What's even more surprising is smack in the middle sits Antelope Island, a dry haven with bison roaming. It's a lake so salty you float like a cork, yet it's got a mini desert. It's key for wildlife and history. Mormon pioneers loved it. No outlet means salt builds up, and antelopes are a surreal bonus. Fact number 15. Michigan has over 11,000 inland lakes and the longest freshwater coastline in the U.S. Michigan's a water wonderland of 11,000 plus lakes and 3,288 miles of freshwater coast along the Great Lakes. It's critical for shipping, fishing, and pure Midwestern pride. Glaciers carved this watery quilt, leaving a paradise for boaters. You're never more than 6 miles from a lake here. Even the lakes are neighbors with each other. Fact number 14. The river in Texas and Oklahoma appears blood red. The Red River turns crimson when droughts kick up its sulfur and iron-rich silt, creating nature's natural horror movie. You have to see it to believe its bleeding look. It marks the Texas-Oklahoma border and feeds the Mississippi, but that red hue? Wild. Early explorers thought it was cursed. Just don't drink it, as it tastes like a chemistry set gone rogue. Now let's rewind back to the Mississippi. Fact number 13. The New Madrid earthquakes temporarily reversed the Mississippi River's flow. In 1811 to 1812, the New Madrid quakes, some hitting 8.0 on the Richter scale, shook the Midwest so hard the Mississippi flowed backward for hours. It's one of America's wildest seismic tales. Bells rang in Boston from the tremors. The land buckled, creating temporary waterfalls. Imagine fish swimming upstream in confusion. Fact number 12. The Atchafalaya Basin in Louisiana is the largest swamp in the U.S. Fed by the Mississippi's overflow, the Atchafalaya sprawls 1.4 million eerie acres, a watery maze of cypress trees, misty stillness, and bayous. It's the U.S.'s largest swamp, which can at times feel haunted. It's actually a flooded jungle where gators outnumber people. It's vital for Cajun culture and wildlife. Think crawfish and herons. Fact number 11. The Mississippi River is so twisty that in some spots it flows north instead of south. The mighty Mississippi, America's watery spine, doesn't always play by the rules. Near Minneapolis or in Louisiana's loops, it defies gravity, sort of, and flows north. It's vital because these meanders shape farmland, cities, and flood risks. Gravity still wins though. It's just the land tilting funny. We're down to the final 10 facts. Fact number 10. The Bay of Fundy has the highest tides in North America. Hugging Maine's border with Canada, the Bay of Fundy sees tides swing 53 feet high. That's 1/3 the height of the Statue of Liberty. Imagine boats sitting on mud at low tide, then floating 5 stories higher hours later. Twice daily, 100 billion tons of water flood in, dwarfing Niagara Falls. This is tidal power at its wildest. Fact number 9. Alaska's Tongass National Forest is the largest in the world. Tongass spans 16.7 million acres, Earth's biggest temperate rainforest dripping with moss and towering spruce. The Tongass is roughly the size of West Virginia, but still pales in comparison to the tropical Amazon rainforest, which is 80 times larger. It's vital for salmon, bears, carbon storage, and regulates regional water flows too. Rain falls 200+ days a year, feeding trees over 200 feet tall. Let's reverse gears and head over to Chicago. Fact number 8. The Chicago River flow was artificially reversed. In 1900, engineers flipped the Chicago River, making it flow away from Lake Michigan and into the Mississippi system. They did it to stop sewage from fouling the city's drinking water. It's a landmark because it's one of history's boldest plumbing fixes. Chicago said, "No thanks to poop soup." The canals and locks made it happen, a feat still studied today. Fact number 7. The Grand Canyon is so vast that it could hold the volume of the second largest lake in the world. Arizona's Grand Canyon is 277 miles long, 18 miles wide, and a mile deep, which is big enough to swallow Lake Superior's 3 quadrillion gallons. For context, it's equivalent to filling about 4.5 trillion Olympic-sized swimming pools, which hold around 660,000 gallons each. That's enough to cover entire cities in water if you could contain it. Fact number 6. Kilauea in Hawaii is Earth's most active volcano. Kilauea has been oozing lava and continuously erupting since 1983, adding land like a fiery landscaper. It's a non-stop molten show that shapes Hawaiians' lives. Goddess Pele, one of the most powerful and revered deities in Hawaiian mythology, known as Ka Wahine Ai Honua, the woman who devours the land. Locals respect its power. They don't just watch the volcano, they listen to it. Fact number 5. Denali is the tallest mountain in North America. Outrising Mount Everest, Denali in Alaska towers 20,310 feet with an 18,000-foot rise from its base, outclimbing Everest's base-to-peak gain of 12,000 feet. Wording is important here. Don't confuse tallest with highest. That means you'd need 6.6 Burj Khalifas stacked on top of each other to reach 18,000 feet. It's a snow-capped titan hiding in Alaska's wilds. Fact number 4. Bristlecone pines in California and Nevada are Earth's oldest living trees. Bristlecone pine trees, gnarled and tough, have stood in the White Mountains for over 5,000 years. They are older than the pyramids of Giza. Tree rings tell climate tales back to 3000 BC. The harsh, dry, and windy conditions keep them alive by slowing growth. Methuselah is a Great Basin bristlecone pine, still living at 4,850 plus years in the Inyo National Forest. Fact number 3. Redwood National Park houses the tallest trees on Earth. The Hyperion is a 380-foot Titan redwood in California's Redwood National Park. It's the tallest tree alive. It's about the height of a 30 to 35-story urban apartment building. These trees are crucial to ecosystems, sheltering owls and slugs. Fact number 2. White Sands National Park has the world's largest gypsum dune field. White Sands in New Mexico sprawls 275 square miles of blinding gypsum dunes, Earth's biggest stash of this sparkly stuff. It looks like a desert of sugar-white waves, not sand. It's special because gypsums are rare in dune form. They are dissolved from ancient lakes and then piled up by wind. Fact number 1. A ghost town has been burning for over 60 years in Pennsylvania. Centralia's coal mines caught fire in 1962, and they're still blazing beneath the ghost town. They have been burning underground for over 60 years. A trash fire ignited the seams, and now it's a smoky wasteland. Once 1,000 strong, only a handful remain as steam vents hiss. Roads buckle, and it could burn for centuries, America's own eternal flame. Thanks for joining me today. We've trekked from Arizona's jet graveyard to Centralia's fiery depths. We hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more videos like this, then please consider subscribing and turn on notifications. It really does make a difference and means the world to us. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Earth Mapped Out.